Alright, guys. So, I have just recently heard that PragerU is has actually been approved for certain schools. I think in like Florida and other stuff like that. Alright. And, I've been doing some research into these videos for kids. Okay. I've seen a lot of PragerU videos before, but nothing that was specifically for kids. Okay. So I watched a couple of videos. I watched people like going through and explaining why these things are awful. Alright. And so then I watched a couple of them by myself. Right. The the level of cringe, y'all, is far beyond what I expected. Alright. This is bad. Save your child's mind with PragerU for kids. Now, after this, I'm going to show you guys the video I started watching earlier, and it was just so bad, I had to turn it off. I could not watch it anymore. Alright. We're probably not going to watch the whole thing, but I'm just going to watch enough of it to see if they at least get, a solid foundation through for what they were trying to do. You know what I'm saying?
In a time with family, and you settle in to dine. Your son is watching something, but you think it must be fine. You know it's only kid shows, so you have some peace of mind. But as you eat the roasted goose, your little sport insists.
Hey, Dad, did you know America is racist?
Your mind goes numb, your skin turns pale, and your heart aches with
Oh my god.
fear. Your child is being filled with lies, the babe you once held dear. But in that shocking moment, a man pops into frame. Could it be George Washington, here to save your child's brain? He snatched the screen and changed the thing, the something that is true. It's an app with shows for kids. They call it PragerU. There's content for your child's mind to fight the leftist lies. And if you give your child a chance to
George Washington is going to combat the idea that America is racist. Let me just do some research real quick, because I believe George Washington himself owned slaves. Did he not? I'll be right back. Yes, he did. He himself owned slaves. Alright. So, the person that you'd need to come in to debunk the idea that America is racist, maybe it's not George Washington. Alright. Let's hear that from someone who didn't own slaves. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of ironic, right? Because just think about it like this. George Washington comes along and says, hey, America is not racist. Wait a minute. Didn't you own slaves? You know what I'm saying? How could you tell me America's not racist? You yourself own slaves. But I bet they're not going to say that truth now, are they?
watch and think and grow, they might burst forth like Washington, a true American hero. Think better, live better. Visit PragerUkids.com for free kids shows, cartoons, and books that teach classic American values.
A true American hero that owned other people. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing that PragerU likes to do, because I've been doing a little bit of research, so I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. I haven't watched like every single video, but I've seen enough to know this. They like to pull this card of justifying slavery. That was, you know, like I said, I've been watching people debunk these videos and explain why they're so wrong. And one of the videos I watched, he goes through and he explains this. The problem with their A Brief History of Slavery, the problem with that video was that the whole thing was to basically justify slavery. Oh, it wasn't that bad because it was normal throughout the entire world. So we'll just give them a pass. You know what I'm saying? Anyone who participated, whatever else, it was okay. That's just the way things were back then. It is absurd the amount of whitewashing. And that's exactly what this is. It is whitewashing. They are whitewashing George Washington. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what they're doing. By having, painting George Washington as a hero. All right? Look, anyone who ever owned another human being can never be a hero, in my opinion. I do not care anything that they accomplished. All right? You owned another human being as your own personal property. Get out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, get the fuck out of me! You died owning slaves! I died setting men free!
Ain't no way. So, we got a few videos we're going to get through. We're not going to watch, like, the entire videos. We're just going to watch, like, the first, minute or so. Just enough to get an idea about the format, right? Of what they're going to be talking about. So, we're going to watch videos about embracing your femininity and your masculinity, and then how to be a victor and not the victim, or something like that. So those are 3 videos we're going to check out. All right. And the one I watched to start with was about, how to behave when you get pulled over by the police. Now, I agree that is an important factor that they should learn about, but not when they're children. That should come in high school. All right? Throughout high school, there should be, classes that teach us about speeding tickets, about fines, about court. Not anything like in depth, but just enough so that they understand, what types of crimes you could commit without knowing. There's unwritten laws. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing could really help teenagers, but not little kids. Little kids don't need to be hearing about this kind of stuff. And that's the same problem that a lot of, people on that side of the aisle, like they're talking about, they don't need to learn about rainbow flags and this and that, which I agree with. But then you guys are specifically targeting children and teaching them about race wars and all this other stuff. And it's like, you guys are, committing the same crimes. It's just different crimes. You're teaching them propaganda about, race wars and everything else. And you're talking about, they're teaching them propaganda about LGBTQ. You know what I'm saying? It's a different type of crime, but it's the same crime. Just let the kids be kids, for God's sake. You know what I'm saying? Man. At the age that they are, for what this seems to be targeting, like, they don't need to be hearing this kind of stuff. Alright? This is stealing their youth away from them. They have their entire lives to worry about social issues and, all that kind of stuff. Alright? This is way too young to be trying to indoctrinate them. That's exactly what this is. Stop trying to indoctrinate the children. Oh, man.
What does it mean to be feminine?
Does it mean having the perfect figure or acting like a fairy tale princess? Does it mean running around in high heels and sparkly dresses?
Being feminine isn't a costume. It's
The acting is so bad. Like, that was one of the criticisms someone else gave. Is like, who in the right mind would want to watch this? Especially for adults, because, like, I don't even think kids would want to watch this. All right?
something to be proud of. Today, we give you 3 tips on how to embrace your femininity. Number 1, don't get caught up in stereotypes. In today's age, it's a big question what a woman should look like, or what a woman even is for that matter. And people are running away from gender stereotypes as far as possible. Yeah, I'm not like other girls. I just find being girly so cliche.
But don't you think men are toxic?
Oh yeah.
Then why are you trying to be like one?
Things are getting confusing, but you as a woman do not have to get caught up in the frenzy. Most gender stereotypes exist because they reflect the way that men and women are naturally different, and those differences aren't bad. Men and women complement each other and create a well-balanced family and community. So don't let anyone tell you it's bad to fit stereotypes. Those people are just trying too hard to be cool. Oh, pink. How original. If you want to wear pink, wear pink. If you want to dress up in a girly dress, do it. Make yourself pretty. Master the art of makeup. Practice good hygiene. Go buy all the things that smell good and create a torpedo of fragrance.
It reeks of daffodil.
If you want to wear high heels, go for it. Just practice walking before getting close to any ledges. Embrace the idea of being a wife or a mother, and allow yourself to stay at home to raise your children. If it's the right choice for you and your family, it's a wonderful opportunity. On the other hand, don't feel guilty if pursuing a career is the right choice for your family. The point is, don't be afraid to fit stereotypes or break them. Just focus on being the best woman you can be. And on that journey, learn how to advocate for your choices. If people don't understand, you don't have to shrivel up in shame or get angry.
So what are you majoring in?
Home ec.
Home ec? Isn't that what girls from 1950 sitcoms do? Come on, girl, you do better than that.
There's always gonna be people like this, and that's okay. Just have
What kid is gonna know what sitcoms are? You know what I'm saying? It's like, and the acting is just so cringy. I can't be the only one thinking that.
always gonna be people like this, and that's okay. Just have your reasons thought through and ready to share.
Number 2, be positive. One of the most beautiful things God has created is a woman's smile. It can fill a room with energy and joy. Just try smiling and see how it affects the people around you. Don't be a crusty old man. There's nothing feminine about that.
Adam Sandler? What are you doing here?
Learn how to engage with others and bring joy to people around you. Be positive and look for the beauty in life. Appreciate creativity and aesthetics. Embrace your artistic side and the joy of making things beautiful. Make your house a home, and along the way, stay grateful and encouraging.
Number 3, respect yourself and others. If you want to be respected, you first have to respect yourself and the people around you.
Y'all can kind of see what they're talking about here, but it's just so overblown. You know what I'm saying? Like, the only thing that you really need to say is just be yourself. Alright? You know, you behave and express yourself however you want. Don't try and be something you're not, because you think that will get you more friends, get you whatever else. Just don't be afraid to be yourself. That's it. Alright?
It starts by realizing that the most important thing in life is not how pretty you look or how much makeup you put on. The most important thing is living for something bigger than yourself, having values and a cause to live for. You have to realize that your life can make a difference in the life.
Yeah, because kids are thinking about wearing makeup. Kids are thinking about what people do in sitcoms, right? Like, what are they thinking about right now?
Of others. And you are way more valuable than just a body. Understand your worth and don't settle for less than you deserve. You've got to respect yourself. Think about it like treating yourself as someone you care about. Start taking your hygiene and fitness seriously. Don't eat too much trash food and keep your environment from being a dump. And dress well. Just make sure it's appropriate. Don't expose parts of your body that would send the wrong message about who you are. And use social.
Yeah, this is a perfect message for kids. Like, are you serious? Look, you are, like, even though what they're saying is true, and I'm not, like, trying to debunk that whatsoever, the messages that they're conveying, totally accurate. But what child needs to hear that your body is worth preserving and don't show parts of your body that other people might want to look and gawk at? They're children. You know what I'm saying? They don't need to be hearing about stuff like that, period. Right? That comes later on when they go into their teens. Right? When they're teenagers, when they're actually starting to learn about these types of things, that's when that starts to get more appropriate to have those conversations then. Not when they're little kids. Alright? As like I said, you're doing the same thing you're targeting the other side for. Because that was the whole thing. They're too young to be hearing about gender theory and all these other things. You know, you tell me what parent out there thinks this is appropriate for little kids. And I wish YouTube would allow comments for these types of videos, but I know they don't, because this is intended for kids. Alright? This is indoctrination. This is still actually stealing their childhood away from them. Who in their right mind would approve of this? This is not good for kids.
Media in a way that dignifies you as a woman. Don't invite the wrong kind of attention. You don't want to be getting messages from this guy.
Hi, beautiful angel. How would you like to meet me in a gas station parking lot? I promise I am legit and make 6 figures every week.
Make sure you establish boundaries to keep you safe. It's good to have your own opinions and share them with others, but handle confrontation with grace. Just because someone disagrees doesn't mean you have to take offense.
You know, maybe they should put like age ranges at the beginning of the videos. That way, so at least the adults could see the age range from what they're saying this video is appropriate for. Alright, but this is not appropriate for children. Alright. This would be somewhat appropriate maybe for teenagers. Alright. Teenagers that are already starting to learn and experience, you know, these types of situations. You know what I'm saying? But this is ridiculous.
And even if they're being dumb, it doesn't give you a right to be mean.
So you know the earth is flat.
Yeah.
On the other hand, being feminine doesn't mean that you have to be this delicate flower that just goes along with everything. Stand up for yourself and say no when needed. Like when the guy asks you to meet him at the gas station. Just stay classy and gracious.
Great message for kids. You know what I'm saying? Look, so at the beginning, they were saying, you know, you don't have to put yourself into stereotypes. You don't have to think you have to behave a certain way or else, you know, people ain't gonna like you, right? But now look at what they're doing. They're giving you examples of how you should behave in certain situations, right? And to me, like, this is programming. It is exactly what this is. Now, are all these types of programming bad? No, not really. I mean, they are somewhat decent characteristics, but it's still programming at the end of the day. And the problem is these are little kids that this is targeted to. All right, which is like, that's just crazy. What child needs to hear about these types of issues?
And don't develop the reputation of being a gossip. Did you hear what happened to Rebecca? She was taking a walk and she fell into a drainage pipe.
Who even does that?
And then some man came along and tried to pull her out and he accidentally ripped out her extensions.
Oh my gosh, that's so embarrassing.
Sometimes as a girl, it's easy to share too much. So learn how to use discretion and keep things private. And lastly, don't be afraid to allow men in your life to help you. You don't have to pretend to be the fierce, independent woman. Don't be offended when a gentleman opens the door or offers to carry something for you.
Hey, let me get that for you.
I am a capable woman, but thanks for being a toxic man. Don't be this girl. Remember, you're valuable and you deserve to be treated with value. Be grateful when a man goes out of his way to show you respect. In conclusion, be the kind of woman you'd want your daughters to be or your sons to marry. Hold yourself to a high standard and be a role model to the younger women around you.
So let's recap how to embrace your femininity. Number 1, don't get...
Let's move on.
What comes to mind when you think of the word masculinity? Do you think of this?
I can feel the testosterone running through my veins.
Or this?
Masculinity is not about how...
Great for kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just a perfect thing all children needs to see. I'll go ahead and stop being sarcastic now.
Having the biggest muscles or the best mustache. And despite what some confused people think, masculinity is not toxic.
Due to a shortage of beef jerky.
It can be toxic. Like, is that really where they're going to try and go with this? Masculinity is never toxic.
And TV dinners, we are on the verge of an economic collapse. And it's all due to toxic masculinity. Story 11.
Being a man isn't something to be ashamed of, so embrace your masculinity.
It took masculinity to defeat Nazi Germany in World War II. It took masculinity to mine coal and keep America's homes warm. And it takes masculinity to have a solid family and a strong country today.
So grow up and be a man.
Yeah, be a man, not a little mouse.
Today, we give you 4 tips on how to embrace your masculinity. Number 1, be independent, financially and mentally. Every teenage boy has a vision of being independent, and it usually looks something like this.
I'm sick of people telling me what to do. I'm sick of the lectures. I'm sick of the rules, and I'm sick of this house.
Obviously, the desire to be independent is strong. It's just coming out in an angsty and mature way. Real masculinity is about becoming independent in a healthy way. It means becoming a strong person who's able to think for yourself and take responsibility for your life. Because let's face it,
I already got a problem with this. Aside from the fact that children don't need to hear these types of lessons, alright? What do you say about a man who's disabled and can't be independent? You know what I'm saying? What do you say about that person? I guess they're not really a man now, are they? Because they're not independent. I guess they need to, suck it up and be a man. And do what exactly? You know what I'm saying? Come on now. To me, this is kind of going back to the definition of a woman as someone who can bear children, right? So then I say, what about women who can't? Because not every woman can. Alright? So are you saying that person is not really a woman? So a man who, is disabled or has, birth defects or has whatever else and they can't take care of themselves, they're not really a man? Like, are you serious?
It's a lot easier to shirk responsibility, mooch off of others, and cling to codependent relationships. But that's not being a man. That's being a wuss. So here are some quick tips for how to become independent the right way.
It's great.
Think about your future and make a plan to get where you want to be. Set smart, short-term, and long-term career goals. Don't sit around and waste your mind with endless video games and social media. Develop yourself as a person and never stop growing. Figure out what you believe and stand by it. Don't be spineless about your convictions. And don't let other people think for you or pressure you into their beliefs.
The earth is flat. Also, don't drink skim milk.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Use your own brain, your own judgment, educate yourself, and form your own convictions. Use critical thinking skills, and learn how to have a healthy relationship with your authorities. This means being respectful, but still willing to share your own ideas and stand up for yourself when needed.
Well, it looks like I'm gonna need you to work Sundays from here on out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't work Sundays because we agreed to that when I took the job.
Aha! And don't shy away from expressing yourself. Don't let
Let's keep going.
insecurity make you shy away from who you are. It's okay to be a little weird, Maybe you want to take a cooking class, but you're afraid your football team will make fun of you. So what? Don't be afraid to be yourself.
Number 2, be strong. Deep down, every man wants to be strong. And it can go too far. But the desire to be strong is a good thing. Sometimes life requires you to be strong, whether it's protecting your loved ones or moving a couch. Having strength when you need it is satisfying and useful. Just don't let it go to your head. Taking on stupid dares and trying to prove how strong you are just makes you look insecure. And being too eager to get into a fight makes you look like an idiot. So don't.
So wouldn't you call that toxic masculinity? Sure sounds like it to me. So at the beginning you're saying, oh, toxic masculinity isn't a real thing. But now we're going to give you examples of toxic masculinity. We're just not going to call it that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man. Like, you guys are doing way too much.
I don't like the way you just looked at me. Yeah, let's go, little man. You wanna fight? Yeah. You wanna fight? Yeah.
Use your strength in useful ways like manual labor, self-defense, or saving the damsel in distress.
That's my purse! I don't know you!
I'll save you.
Number 3.
This is great for kids. You know what I'm saying? Teach them about trying to steal someone's purse. Teach them about getting in fights. Have references to Mortal Kombat, which is something children shouldn't be playing to begin with. So they shouldn't know about those references anyways. You know what I'm saying? Like, fight your fears and be courageous when challenged.
Fight your fears and be courageous when challenged. Every boy has a hero, whether it's Superman or a football star. And it's a really strong source of inspiration. The people you look up to as heroes are the people you try to be like. But that means you have to choose your heroes carefully. Having this guy as a hero,
Stop speeding, everybody! Stop speeding!
will lead to a very different place than this guy.
Our ancestors made a fair deal with these natives, and they said, you know what? In exchange for your peaceful pipes and your land, we'll give you smallpox.
One thing that good heroes
Great. I mean, just great for children.
have in
All
common is that they don't walk away from challenges. They're confident and they overcome obstacles with determination and grit. They don't give up when things get tough, and they don't let disappointment defeat them. These are all things we can learn from heroes and do in our own lives. Even if you can't fly, there's still a lot.
Because they're really going to know what woke means. You know what I'm saying? So let's just go teach them all about what woke is. All right. You know, let's just teach them all about politics too while we're at it. Let's just teach them everything, right? Whoa, you're never too young to learn about politics. Like, are you serious? Because that's the direction you're going in. When a child sees this, and once they start getting curious enough, I want to know what all these references are. What is this woke show? What is woke? Like, that's a great conversation to have with your child. At what point are you going to be like, you know what? Maybe he's not old enough to know what this woke thing is. All right. And if you have to have that conversation and realize, like, he's too young to know what woke means, right? Then they're not old enough to watch this. And once they do get old enough to understand what hardly any of this stuff means, they're not going to like it because it's so cringy, right? Like, I don't think it's the actors. I really don't. I think it's the production. I think they were trying to go for cringy to make it appealing for children. But it's like they don't know who their audience is. You know what I'm saying? Like, when's the last time they watched an actual cartoon that kids like? They should start there and work from that. Alright? Now, I will say this. This whole thing isn't about me, like, going after these types of shows, right? Because on the other end of the spectrum, there are a lot of propaganda and, you know, very sketchy things that is in regular kids' cartoons. Alright, I will say that much. Also, Adult Swim being on, you know, I forget what channel it is, but I know it's like, you know, kids' cartoons during the day, but then at nighttime it turns into Adult Swim. I don't think those two things belong on the same channel. Alright, I really don't. And to me, like, that would be my biggest gripe, is to have that taken off. You can have Adult Swim, but put it on like MTV or something that isn't a channel that is, you know, going to be a high priority for children to watch. Alright. So I think we're going to go ahead and go to the next video.
Never fair for me. Are you asking yourself, why did this have to happen to me?
Why is it always me? Why can't it be him or this guy? He's got nothing to lose.
The truth is, it's not just you. Sadly, there is no fair fairy making all things fair. We all have things happen that set us back.
Yeah, but my unfairness is way more unfair than other people's unfairnesses.
The truth is, people all around the world who have encountered...
They're going to wrap this up into politics. They're going to say, this is the liberal mind, right? That's what they're fighting against. Is the liberal mind that thinks the whole world is out to get me, right? So what about people with paranoid delusions? Does that mean they're liberals too? People with actual mental disabilities, are they liberals too? Because, you know what I'm saying, like, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Let's see.
Great setbacks have gone on to overcome them, whether it's poverty, disease, discrimination, or all of it combined. Don't believe me? Just ask Helen Keller.
Helen Keller, have you had...
Why are they teaching children about discrimination? Wasn't that a big one? CRT don't belong in schools? Because of why? Because it intends to teach children about systemic racism. And at the end of the day, that's basically what discrimination is. You know, if someone is denying someone of something that they need, right? Like a car loan, bank loan, place to rent, whatever else, because of their background, their heritage, or anything like that, guess what? That's discrimination. All right? You are singling out a certain type of person and saying, no. So why are they teaching children about discrimination? If you're going to teach them about that, you may as well bring out the CRT books, right?
Any setbacks? Store at 11.
Helen Keller was blind and deaf and still went on to do great things. So whether your setback is your brother stealing the last piece of bacon or something more serious, today we give you 5 tips on how to be a victor and not a victim.
Number 1, envision a positive future. People with a victim mindset believe that they are stuck in life. They are living in the hurt of the past and don't know how to move on. I just can't do it. They tell themselves there's nothing that they can do to make their life better because everything is holding them back, whether it's the people around them or their own limitations.
Things are terrible and will always be terrible.
This is a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Terrible.
Because as long as you believe that you can't make things better, you won't. And you'll stay miserable by your own choice.
I choose to be miserable.
People with a victor mindset believe that achievement is possible. In spite of their setbacks, they have an inspiring vision of the future. So when you're feeling stuck, set your negative thoughts aside and imagine what you want your future to look like.
Oh yeah.
Just make sure it's within reason. Then ask yourself, what would I need to do to make this a reality? Break it down into simple steps and focus on one at a time. If you aren't sure how to do a step, get help from someone who does know.
It's okay, son. I'm gonna help you out.
With every small step you take, you'll gain more and more confidence.
Number 2, grow stronger from obstacles. Everyone encounters obstacles, but your mentality towards them makes all the difference. Victims see obstacles as unfair and insurmountable setbacks. Every hill looks like a mountain. They're so focused on the obstacle that they don't see the solution sitting right in front of them. They spend all their energy being upset when they could have used that same energy toward overcoming the obstacle. Victors, on the other hand, see obstacles as a natural part of life. Instead of wasting their energy pouting, they apply themselves with faith that they can get through it. They see each obstacle as a...
So, here's what I'm going to say about this. You could see a person just like absolutely losing their mind over something that seems so simple. That's like it's not really a big deal. You know, why are you just wanting to give up on everything over this one little thing? All right. And so you think their whole life has been like that. They've just always been a victim. They always had this victim mentality, right? But maybe it hasn't always been like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, everyone is going to go through hard times. There's no way around it. All right. And sometimes it does tend to pile up and, you know, weigh down on you like a ton of bricks. And when that happens, I don't want anyone to go up to that person and say, oh, you're just being a victim. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just go around and talking to people that way just because they're having a hard time and treat them with this condescending attitude. Quit being a victim. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is beyond ridiculous. All right. You know, it's true life isn't fair. That is true. There's a lot of things that is true in here. But at the end of the day, you know, what you're trying to push on the children is, if you see someone having a hard time, you just need to bully them and tell them, quit being a victim, you little wuss. Does that sound like a good message to teach to the kids? Go around and call people a wuss if you think they're not being man enough to handle any situation that comes their way. Alright. This is... I don't know what they were thinking. Like I said, the same thing they're accusing the other side of doing, they're doing the same thing. This is indoctrination. Alright. And it's not all bad. There are a lot of good, positive things that they're trying to teach, children. But it's the way that they're doing it, and they're doing it too soon. Alright. It's like I said, children don't need to hear about, covering up sensitive areas of your body. Children don't need to know about that. Alright? That, by itself, is going to take away their innocence. Alright? These are things they don't need to be thinking about. Alright? So it's like, this is beyond ridiculous. I was getting ready to end the video, but I almost forgot there was one other thing we had to get to. The one about police interaction, where you get pulled over. We got to watch a few minutes of that. That was by far the cringiest thing I've seen so far. So, we're actually going to do two more. I'm going to watch a few minutes of this, and then we're going to watch the one that I watched a little bit of earlier. Alright. This one, I clicked on it because it says Officer Tatum. Now, I know of Officer Tatum. I don't know if this is actually, the Officer Tatum that has a YouTube channel. If it is, I'm going to be blown away. Alright, I'm just going to put it to you like that. But it also wouldn't be that surprising, considering his background. He's a conservative. This is a conservative news channel. So, of course, he might have a platform on this thing.
Yes! Yes! Aw, I almost beat my old score. Okay, one more game.
Talking to yourself again, I see. I need my phone. Time's up.
No, wait! I'm so close to setting a new high score. One more game. Please, Layla.
Mom says no phone after 7, and it's 8:30. You need to be getting ready for bed.
Mom also says to give our best effort at everything we do. Come on, let me give my best effort at this game.
Leo, rules are rules.
Rules are for babies. One more game.
Give it to me.
No! You're not allowed to use it after 7 either.
Let go! You're swiping on the... Ah! What just happened? Where are we?
When you snatched at the phone, you opened the history app. I think maybe then I clicked on some kind of pop-up ad. I don't know. And I don't know when or where we are.
Well, it didn't send us back in time very far. This looks like our time, but we're definitely not in a good neighborhood. And it's too late for us to be out alone.
Yeah, I think I'll have it just send us back. Oh, no.
What now?
The phone just died.
Leo, you must have played your game so long it used up all the battery. If you just obeyed the rules, now what are we gonna do?
Sorry, but if you weren't trying to break the rules too and trying to take the phone for yourself, this wouldn't have happened.
Forget it. The point now is that we're lost, and we're out too late, and we need help. Fast.
Hey, there's a police car. Wait, can we be arrested for being out too late?
No, we're not doing anything wrong. The police officer will help us.
You two are out pretty late. Is everything all right? I saw you waving.
Thank you for stopping, sir. I'm Layla, and this is my brother Leo. We're lost and could use some help.
We have an app that can take us home, but our phone died. We weren't breaking any laws, I promise.
Your phone, huh? Let me see. I'll just plug it into my charger here and wait with you until it's...
That is the Officer Tatum. Oh my goodness. I hope this is going to be a decent video. Alright. Let's see what we got here, y'all.
Power back up.
Thank you, sir. So we're not in trouble?
Well, Leo, you might have been if you two tried wandering around the streets all night by yourself, so I'm glad that you waved me over. My name is Officer Tatum, and I'll make sure that you're safe until you get home. That's my job.
I thought your job was to arrest people.
Leo, you've been watching too much TV. Police officers' main job is to rescue people from kidnappers or exploding buildings.
It sounds like you're watching the same shows. Maybe I can clear things up for you. As a law enforcement officer, my job is to protect and serve. It can also involve some of the exciting things you see on TV shows, but it's also about things like helping lost children find their way home. No matter the details, our goals are to keep people safe and make our communities better places.
So it's like all of us hired you to protect us, right?
You got it. We do try to help everyone, and that's actually why I decided to join the police force. I was once a high school football star in Fort Worth, Texas, and then played safety here in Tucson at the University of Arizona. I even thought of going to the NFL. I just love being a part of a team. So when I finished school, I saw a chance to join a team as big as the whole city, and I became a cop.
You still get to fight bad guys though, right?
Unfortunately, yes, and only if I have to. But sometimes I do have to do some of the things you see on TV shows. I've stopped many criminals, I've saved some lives, and I've even been in some very dangerous situations. But remember, my objective is always to protect and serve the community.
Hey, Officer Tatum! Officer Tatum, what's good?
Hey guys, just helping some visitors. Y'all see the Cardinals Sunday?
Yeah, man. We're gonna take the West for sure this year. Have a good night, sir.
Thanks, guys. Don't stay out late. Get home to your moms.
Okay. See ya, sir.
You know those guys?
They look tough.
Yeah, I know those knuckleheads pretty well. They're great boys. I try to get to know as many people as possible in the community where I police. The more I know them, the better I can understand their problems and serve.
Since sometimes you have to be in dangerous situations, are you ever scared?
I've definitely been in scary situations, especially when I was a member of the SWAT team. But if I'm too scared, I could make a mistake. And when police make mistakes, people get hurt.
So how do you keep from getting scared and making mistakes?
It's not easy, but we police have good training. And when the going gets tough...
So now, what we have here is little kids learning about, I'm guessing this is going to be like gang violence. We got a shootout with police officers, and little kids are soaking in this knowledge, right? Why? Why do little kids need to be exposed to this? You know what I'm saying? It's like I said, if it was teenagers, it'd be a different story.
I take a deep breath, focus on acting how I've been trained, and work confidently. In those moments, there's no room for mistakes.
Wow, that's so much pressure. We both play soccer, and we have lots of training, but it's still okay if we mess up every now and then.
It is a lot of pressure, and that's why being a police officer is a very special responsibility. Of course, just like any team, we've got good members and bad members. That's why I work as an instructor for my department. I want to teach my fellow officers how to be prepared for every situation so they can protect others all day and still go home safely to their own families.
It sounds like you have to be tough, brave, smart, and focused.
And you have to be okay with a lot of pressure to not mess up.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Easy job, right? Y'all ready to sign up?
I do like your outfits.
Layla.
And that also means you should be held accountable when you do mess up, right? But you ask a lot of cops, they're going to say, nope. We need complete immunity to have confidence in the job that we're doing. So then, when you go to get surgery, go and tell your surgeon, right? You need to have full confidence in the job you're going to do. So even if you come in drunk, I will not be allowed to sue you for malpractice. All right? Go ahead and tell them that. Just do whatever you want to do. You need to have complete confidence that you're never going to be held accountable for anything. And just let that be the standard. right? Doesn't work.
We're not tough enough to be cops.
We do have nice uniforms, but I'm just kidding. You two just need to worry about being good kids. But there's always ways you can help your local law enforcement, no matter how old you are.
Really?
Absolutely. I have a son a few years younger than you, and I know how important it is for kids to learn good safety habits as early as possible. When citizens can take care of themselves, it's a huge help to everyone in the community, especially us police officers. You have any ideas on how to help?
I know it's an easy one, but we can always look both ways before crossing the street.
It might be easy, but it's very important.
How about don't talk to strangers?
That's a good one too.
Dial 911 if there's an emergency.
And never secretly play games on your sister's phone after 7 o'clock and run the battery all the way down so that we can't get out of Tucson.
Sounds like you kids already have some pretty good safety instincts. Remember to always be careful. And if something doesn't seem right, don't be scared to ask a police officer for help.
It's a huge relief knowing that police officers are always ready to help. I know my family and friends have my back, but it's really nice to know that we have added protection.
When we first saw you, I was worried because I thought the job of a police officer was just to fight bad guys and make arrests. It's good to know how much you help people.
As long as people follow the rules, police are your friends, and there's nothing to worry about. And whenever you interact with a police officer, just...
That's not always the case. You know what I'm saying? And he should know that. So, I think what we're going to do, we're going to finish out this video. I'm going to show you a few seconds of the other video just to show you how cringy that was. And then, since we're on the topic of encounters with police officers, let's go ahead and show you what some people actually go through when they are dealing with police officers.
Listen carefully to what they tell you to do, and it will help keep you, them, and everyone around you safe.
Man, rules, rules, rules.
Sorry, sir. My brother's going through a phase where he thinks that...
That is true, but that's not always the case. Alright? And I'm going to show you exactly why I say that.
Rules are for babies.
Hey, I'm not a criminal or anything. It's just that some rules don't make any sense.
It does seem like that sometimes. Maybe we don't always agree with the rules or understand them, and maybe there are some rules that do need to change. It's not illegal to ask questions, so do your research. But when I see someone doing something illegal that could cause them or someone else to get hurt, then I have to do my job to protect everyone by enforcing the law.
I guess you're right. I don't really understand our parents' rules about no devices after 7, but then, look what I got us into.
A lot of danger, until Officer Tatum showed up to take care of us.
It's all a part of my job, and it looks like someone else needs me. Is your phone charged up enough now?
Yeah, that should be enough to get us home. Thanks for your help, Officer Tatum.
My pleasure, kids. Safe travels.
Bye. Whoa, that was wild. I was so scared until Officer Tatum helped us.
Yeah, listen, I'm really sorry. You don't even have to let me use your phone at all. It's really nice that you let me play games. I won't fight over it again.
Thanks, Leo. Apology accepted. There's just enough time for a little TV before your bedtime. Cop show?
Cop show!
If you are interested in time traveling with Leo and Layla again, please subscribe to PragerU.com/kids and watch more of their adventures.
What kind of kid needs to watch cop shows? You know, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't get it. This is exactly what kids should not be exposed to. At least that's my opinion. Alright.
Getting pulled over can be frustrating or just nerve-wracking, especially if it's your first time. But don't sweat it. It's easy to make mistakes like speeding, following your car too closely, or driving off ramp like an action hero.
Sometimes you might get pulled over for something you didn't do wrong, like having your taillight burn out or happening to have a vehicle that matches the description of a stolen car.
Did you steal this car, son? No. You wouldn't lie to me now, would you?
No. You just have to accept that sometime in your driving life, you're gonna get pulled over. and you need to be ready.
There's no need to worry. A lot of people think that if they get pulled over, they're going to be needlessly handcuffed or bullied by a police officer.
Whose car is this? It's my grandma's car. Whose car is it? My grandma's! I think he stole this car, everybody.
This is not going to happen.
The officer is just trying to do his job without getting killed. As long as you're respectful and use common sense, you have nothing to worry about. That being said, there are a few things you can do to make the whole process smoother for you and the officer.
So today, we give you 3 tips on how to handle getting pulled over. Number 1, prioritize safety. The most important thing is making sure that the experience is safe for both you and the officer. As soon as you see the flashing siren directly behind you, turn on your hazard lights. This lets other drivers know that you are the one being pulled over. Now that your hazards are on, it's time to find a place to park. Look for a safe spot, like a wide shoulder on the road or a parking lot. If there isn't one in sight, don't just keep driving for miles until you find one. Unless you like helicopters and large cameras. If there isn't an ideal place in sight fairly quickly, find an area off the road and use your turn signal to indicate that you're pulling over. Just make sure the spot is wide enough for you and the police officer to park safely. Also, it's best not to pull over into a ditch or off a bridge. While you're pulling over, don't come to an abrupt stop and brake check the officer. Now that you're safely pulled over, pull yourself together and make sure that you're prepared. Remember, officers deal with life-threatening situations on a daily basis. There's a few things that you can do to indicate that you are not one of those situations. First things first, turn off the ignition. This way the officer knows that there's no danger of you trying to drive away suddenly. If it's dark outside, turn on the lights in your car to make sure that the officer knows that you have nothing to hide. Next, stay in your car and slowly roll down the driver's side window. This is not the time to get out and greet the officer or stretch your legs. It will make the officer uncomfortable on many levels.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some backup. Looks like we got a runner.
Not only should you stay in your car, it's best to keep your hands on the steering wheel. A lot of movement makes an officer nervous because he doesn't know what you might be reaching for. Maybe it's just a banana, or maybe it's a gun, or maybe it's a gun shaped like a banana. So it's good practice to keep your hands visible until instructed to do otherwise. Make all your movements slow and deliberate. This way the officer will be at ease and know that you are not one of those sketchy situations.
Number 2, control your attitude. When you get pulled over, it can be frustrating. Maybe you were on your way to a party, and being late is gonna make all your friends judge you.
Sorry I'm late, you can start the party now.
Bro, that's so lame. You can go hang out with those guys.
Whatever the reason, it's easy to get upset. If you want your interaction with the officer to go smoothly, you need to have a good attitude. First of all, let the officer speak first. Once the officer has reached your window, he will ask for your license, registration, and proof of insurance. Carefully gather them and hand them to the officer. Gently, not with a chip on your shoulder. Stay calm and try your best to contain your emotions. And please, spare us the cringe and don't get defensive.
Do you realize you were going 75 in a 55?
Oh no, I'm sure that sign said 75.
You mean that one a mile back that clearly says 55?
Well, I'm dyslexic and there was bird poop on the sign.
Trying to convince the officer that you didn't do anything wrong is not going to go anywhere.
It's gotta be the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
The truth is, a lot of times officers will let you off with a warning. But if you're being a weasel, your odds of just getting a warning go down. Way down.
And I've heard some dumb things, son. Dumb things.
Just keep a cool head and remember the officer is there to protect the community, including you. If you're puzzled by why you were pulled over, it's okay to ask the officer. Just do it respectfully. And if you want to explain your side of it, sometimes that's okay too. The key is having the right attitude. If you think the officer might have made a mistake, that's okay. You don't have to blow up or convince him that he's wrong.
Look, I didn't do anything wrong. Trust me, you don't want this on your conscience.
Keep a good attitude, make your case respectfully, and if he's not going for it, just take the ticket. Then later, you can actually challenge the officer in a traffic court. It's really not that hard to do. If the officer gives you a ticket, do not argue or beg. It just makes you look pathetic and it's not going to change his mind.
It's hard raising myself. Groceries aren't cheap these days, and I have a massive appetite for cheesy puffs.
Do not be this person. Take ownership and be respectful, and the officer might let you off with a warning. If he does, thank him for his understanding. Let him know you appreciate the opportunity to correct your driving mistakes before having anything put on your driving record.
Number 3, compose yourself and remember safety. After the whole experience of getting pulled over, it can be a little rattling, especially if it's your first time. So before you pull back out into traffic, take a deep breath, make sure you're composed and ready to drive safely. Depending on where you were pulled over, it can sometimes be a little tricky pulling back out into traffic.
Look out! Look out!
Use your turn signal and make sure that your re-entry into traffic doesn't put your life or the lives of others at risk.
In conclusion, driving is a huge responsibility that we all must take seriously. Getting pulled over is never fun, but when we understand it's ultimately for our safety, it puts things in perspective. We can set the frustration aside, take a deep breath, listen to the officer, and apply the lessons learned to being a better and safer driver. So let's recap how to handle getting pulled over. Number 1, prioritize safety for you, the drivers around you, and the officer. Number 2.
So ultimately, the problem with this is it's meant for children. You know, if this was meant for teenagers, it would be a lot better, because then at least it would be something that they would find useful, right? But it's still just way too cringy. You know what I'm saying?
A community on edge tonight. A Warren officer is caught on video assaulting a 19-year-old, and that officer is now facing serious charges. The officer is on unpaid.
Yeah, like keep going.
February 9th, CCSD police say they were investigating reports of a gun near Durango High when they encountered some students. The ACLU says no gun was found on the students. One student told Fox 5 he simply wanted to record CCSD officers with his cell phone when he ended up in handcuffs, while another was taken to the ground by an officer. In Fox 5's records request, CCSD denied public records, in part saying documents and videos are evidence in an ongoing employment investigation. Well, the investigation is over, so where are the public records?
This is complete stonewalling.
Chris Peterson with the ACLU says the district may be stonewalling because a police report and body cam video may be embarrassing for the district, but admits that is only speculation and why the video and police report need to be seen by.
Couldn't even give them a chance to cooperate. You know what I'm saying? That looked completely unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? If that person was posing a threat or, you know, anything like that, then I understand. You know, totally within their right to treat a suspect that way. If they're actually posing a threat or not obeying commands, you know, get your hands out of your pocket. And they don't do that. That's when you might get a response like that. All right. But, you know, and then again, from the way it looks in the video, it looks like that was completely unnecessary. Maybe it was. But without the video and the audio to really see the full context of what was going on, it's hard to say. But the only thing I'm saying for sure is it looks very suspicious.
By the public.
That's why we have a Public Records Act, is that we don't have to take the government's word for it. We get to see the actual documents. We get to see the actual video and make the call for ourselves.
The ACLU is representing two of the students involved, including the one.
Who would argue against that? You know what I'm saying? You know, full transparency doesn't only protect the citizens, it protects the police officers too. Because, like what I just said, sometimes the police officer might be well within his rights to treat a suspect that way. But maybe, you know, a video comes out like this and makes it look like it was totally unjustified. But then, if there are body cameras or something else that gives you the full context of why the police officer responded that way, then maybe it clears the officer of any wrongdoing. You know what I'm saying? So full transparency is a good thing for the citizens and for the police. And also, if a police officer, if they're all required to have body cameras that they cannot turn off or manipulate in any way when they're on duty, then guess what? They're going to be a lot less likely to go around doing this without just cause. You know what I'm saying? That's a good thing all the way around. So this one is definitely going to get this age restricted. All right. Even if it doesn't, I'm going to age restrict it myself just to play it safe. All right. So one of the videos I watched someone debunk earlier was them talking about George Floyd. They were talking about all the riots and everything else. And of course, they didn't ever mention the reason why a lot of those riots were happening. All right. At least some of those riots happened because of stuff like this. All right.
You're not doing anything, you not doing anything.
My name is Miles Carter. I live in the town of Tonawanda. I don't live in the city of Buffalo. My mosque is over on Genesee Street.
Jason Aldean wasn't going to show none of this, was he? You know what I'm saying? Of course not. He wanted to paint the narrative of the rioters were the only ones at fault here.
To be out on the streets for a prolonged.
Black Lives Matter! Beat his ass! Police help! Stop it!
Don't kill them, but hit them hard. And keep in mind, they're not talking about rioters. They're talking about protesters. You want to know a good way to turn protesters into rioters? This right here will get the job done. If you want protesters to look like rioters, this is how you do it. You beat the tar out of them until they come back with weapons. It's as simple as that. You know, I'm going to give you an analogy that's going to, I think, perfectly illustrate what I'm trying to say here. A bully goes to school and beats on a student every single day until that student has enough and gets some weaponry and comes back and beats the ever-living tar out of that bully. Someone who's not aware of the situation that had been going on is going to witness that fight. And who's he going to put at fault for all of this? Right? Not the bully, because the bully's getting his butt handed to him. Alright? He's going to pin it on the victim. So, that's what we got right here. Not for all of it. A lot of the rioters were just losing their minds and going crazy. And I understand why. And I'm not justifying that whatsoever. Alright? The rioting, the looting, the burning, it was all wrong. That was the wrong way to unleash that anger and resentment. However, we can still take a step back and say, you know what? You were wrong for doing that, but at least I understand why. You know what I'm saying?
Record these instances so people can see it almost who are very, very racially.
Look at that. See that? Even though he was kneeling with his hands up. You know, I think ultimately what we need to establish here is that I'm not, you know, saying one side or the other is completely right and the other side's completely wrong. I'm not saying that at all. However, both sides were in the wrong. The rioters were wrong, and the police who was beating on innocent protesters were wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, be careful. Don't get too good a look at it. Yeah. Press, there it is. Press. You go home. About 12.
Why won't conservative media tell the truth about all this stuff that was going on? They only want to spin the story in one direction and leave out the rest. You know what I'm saying? Anything to discredit Black Lives Matter. Anything to paint the narrative as everyone who's protesting for Black Lives Matter is wrong. That is wrong, and that's propaganda. That is indoctrination to turn people against a good movement. Alright, it's as simple as that. You know, whether you agree with the slogan or not, there's one thing I think everyone should be able to agree on. Black Lives Matter. And it should be perfectly okay for people to affirm that. Black Lives Matter. Yes, they do. Alright. So, alright. Y'all let me know what y'all think. That's it for now, y'all.